Stop. Do you know that one of the biggest roadblocks to your path for your purpose is heartbreak? So today on Growing Hope, we're going to get raw, we're going to get real, and then we're going to remedy those heartbreak hindrances with a little creative first aid.
It's time for Growing Hope, the show determined to grow up hearts open to pursue the extraordinary. Because you are extraordinary! And now, it's your host, Kathryn Lang.
Hello there and welcome to Growing Hope, where today started out with hurt before the hope. See, I am Kathryn Lang. I am your Hope Smith. I am a natural-born encourager. I am an all-around silver lining kind of gal. I don't like exposing old wounds. I don't like new wounds, for that matter. I just want everything to be smooth sailing. I don't want to show the hurting. I only want to show the healed. I know the power of words, and I know when I get into all that negative mess and that negative discussion, I end up back in the negative. And worse, I drag everybody with me into the negative. But I was sharing one of these healed moments, and in order to be able to say I'm healed, I do have to say that there was, a hurt to begin with. And I was sharing one of these struggle moments with a friend the other day, and my husband turned to me and said I had no idea. He was completely shocked. He genuinely meant he had no idea, which shocked me because I knew that he was there during the journey. How could he not know? How could he not realize that there had been a hurt? He experienced it with me. But then I remembered I waited to cry until I was in the shower. Because if I cried in the shower, it reduced the redness and it reduced the puffiness, and I wouldn't have to explain that I had been crying. My husband and my children wouldn't have to know that I'd been crying. And then I remembered that I poured out all of my anger and all of my frustration when I was out walking so that others wouldn't have to experience those negative emotions. I live with a house full of empaths. Last thing I needed was to pour out all of this negative on them. And then I remembered I hadn't told my husband that I had been struggling. So how could I expect him to know that I had been struggling? I had inadvertently put up a mask of courage and yes, even hope. And those masks of courage and hope, while they were meant to be an encouragement and be an infusion of power and strength for him, they kept him from seeing the truth of my struggle. Now, I am never going to be one that focuses on the negatives. The power of words is too important. I have watched what happens when you send those negatives out into the world. So it's been impressed upon me from the beginning to remember that your words have power. So I try to speak as though it is, which means I rarely talk about my hurts. But today I am ripping off the Band-Aid. I'm exposing the wounds. I'm learning that showing the process of hurt is what allows me to be healed. And showing my hurt to healed is important. And it's important for you and for others that encounter my hurt to healing. And it's just as important as proclaiming the hope. Because a wound cannot heal if it's not allowed to bleed. And heartbreak can't recover if I'm not allowed to experience the hurt. Heartbreak. The word itself says everything. Heartbreaks are those times when your heart literally breaks, when a hole or a crevice or a fissure forms in your heart, and nothing seems to be able to fill it up or to make it whole or to make it better. Heartbreak hurts the emotions. Heartbreak fuzzies the focus. Heartbreak sucks away all the energy. It stops the determination in its tracks. Sometimes heartbreak stops the very ability to breathe. And heartbreak definitely stops the purpose pursuit in its tracks. Have you ever been so overcome with the heartbreak that you just couldn't? I felt that way the other day. And in truth, some of it's still there. The pain and the emptiness was all over me, even though I was surrounded by the people I loved. I had no energy. I had no focus. I had no interest in trying to find either. Every single hurt in my life seems to have gained up on me, so that every word anyone spoke only dug the hollow places even deeper. I couldn't do anything right, and everything I had ever done was wrong. Remember how you let that go, that thing that I did that was so special for you? Yeah, I remember. That's a failure on my part. Check that off. Or, your words have the opposite effect of what you think they do. Okay, I got it. Failure. Check it off. Or, you have nothing because you deserve nothing. Well, that explains it, right? Failure. Check it off. Or, we all got together and we want you to see it in our pictures so that you know we didn't invite you. Yep, I see it. Failure. Check. I could go on. The shoulds brought their friends could-haves and should-haves and would-haves. And they were having a party right there in my head and my heart at my expense. I'm only just scraping at the top, at the surface of the despair iceberg that had snuck up on me and crashed into my heart and rammed the hole until I was sinking in the icy depths below. I mean, it didn't make sense. I literally hurt so much I couldn't do anything but weep. I couldn't breathe. Have you ever had heartache that was so heavy? Have you ever had heartbreak that was so powerful that you couldn't? Even sharing it is depressing. It's why I like hope more than I like telling about my struggles. Because when I tell you about my struggles, I struggle. I want it to be a bright, sunshiny day. I want to look all around and see nothing but blue skies. I don't want to see the clouds. The more I focus on the despair, the heavier it gets. So I found myself crying. Not uncontrolled, not the wailing or the weeping, but just unexpected tears at random moments and unexpected times. And each drop of tear rubbed salt on the exposed wounds and only intensified my pain. And salt should heal. What do you do when heartbreak has overwhelmed or threatens to break the dam of despair? Hope, joy, laughter, play, hum, untrained creativity. I just give myself permission to feel, and then I seek a way of healing. So the first aid treatments for heartache are: 1, allow the feelings to happen. Hurts hurt, and that's okay. 2, use a tourniquet or a person or a tool that can help. 3, find your truth. It's written in the Word. 4, accept those rogue tears, because sometimes an old wound will still hurt. And 5, invest in the light and the light. Heartbreak stops purpose in its tracks. So you need to heal the heartbreak so you can get moving again. Heartbreaks are going to happen. It's what we do when the heartbreaks happen and what we do through those heartbreaks that makes the difference in our journey. If we waller around in the heartbreak, we will remain in the dark. But if we treat the heartbreak, if we give it first aid, then we will heal the heartbreak and we will break through that darkness. Did you know that when you get a cut, the flowing blood actually cleanses the wound? My grandfather, who was a general practitioner, taught me to make a wound bleed. You know, a paper cut, or when you poke yourself with a needle or something like that. He said, make it bleed. Squeeze it until it bleeds. But you don't leave the wound bleeding. You stop the bleeding after it's had a chance to cleanse. If you allow a wound to keep bleeding, then you're going to die. Heartbreaks need to have a chance to bleed. You need to allow yourself to feel the pain, to feel the hurt. But then you have to stop the bleeding. See, there is a time for grieving. And nobody gets to define what your time is or how you do it. Nobody gets to tell you what grieving looks like. But just like every wound is going to be treated differently, every grieving time, every heartbreak is going to have a different period of grieving or a way of grieving. When my mom died, people kept coming up to me at the funeral and telling me, you're eventually going to fall apart. You're eventually going to break down. But see, I had watched my mom deteriorate for months before she died. And I cried during those months. And I cried after she died. But I had already talked it through with God. I mourned when she died, but I knew she was free. So I rejoiced in that freedom. While I missed her, and I still miss her randomly today, I knew I wasn't going to fall apart. But I still felt her loss. So the first step for your first aid, for your heartbreak, is to allow the feels to flow. Give yourself time to feel the emotions. Allow the tears to happen if that's what you want. And be okay with not being okay. But then you need to stop the bleeding or you will die. So the second step for heartbreak first aid is to use a tourniquet or at least a Band-Aid or a bandage of some type. Every year, I read the Hunger Games trilogy. Now, I always announce that it is time for the annual reading of the Hunger Games. It falls around this same time. And it dawned on me today that it comes up at the same time because this is a very emotionally challenging time for me. Mother's Day, my mom's birthday, my parents' anniversary. It is very, it stirs up a lot of hurt. But this story that is in the book reminds me to remember who the enemy is and to hold it together, because it's 10 times more difficult to put things back together if you let things fall apart. It's a simple healing and relaxation opportunity for me to read through the story. And I think I've read it every year since I purchased the first book. Now, when I had a miscarriage between our middle child and our youngest child, it was the flowers in the garden, walking out into the garden and picking those flowers that healed my heart. And it was the recording that my son brought me. He brought me a DVD player, and it was queued up to the song by Andrew Peterson, Faith to Be Strong. They were different moments, different situations that healed my heart. They were different Band-Aids, different bandages, different tourniquets, because different wounds need different care. But you still have to stop that bleeding. You cannot just keep wallowing in the bleeding. After I felt my heartache and I stopped the bleeding, I had to figure out a way to either prepare my heart or to just protect my heart from the heartache, future heartaches. So the third step for healing the heartbreak is to know the truth of your journey, of who you are, of what you're designed to be, of where you're going, because heartbreak is going to stop your purpose. It's going to stop your purpose pursuit. But knowing your purpose pursuit will help you push past that heartache. When your unique design, your purpose, your God heart seed is growing up so strong, heartache can't stop you from pursuing it. You might do it through tears, but heartache will not stop you. If you focus on your unique design, then the heartache doesn't get through to the point that it stops your purpose. Not completely. You might pause on the tracks, but you'll start going again because you know who you are designed to be. Your truth starts in God's word. And the more you know that truth, the bolder you will be, even when you are struggling. The word is a lamp to your feet and a light to your path. That comes from Psalm 119, 105. In other words, he is lighting the way. He is making the way. He is the way. And no amount of heartbreak hinders his way. He still does it. He still completes it. And the more we know that, the more we lean into that, the stronger and the bolder we are in it. So the more I know the truth of who I am, the more my heartache heals. The word is also a shield to protect us against the heartache moving forward. Even with the word guarding my way, and even with the word healing my heartache, sometimes those old wounds hurt again. So the fourth step of first aid for your heartbreak is to expect those rogue tears. I hate holiday commercials, especially the greeting card commercials. I mean, come on. You know that they're there just to tug on your heartstrings. And I end up crying randomly, not because of the commercial. The truth is the commercial is meant to make me pull my heartstrings, but it is my heart. It is remembering those heartbreaks that cause the tears. When I was in middle school, we did a play that talked all about how when a love comes in your life and leaves, it leaves a hole in your heart that can only be filled by a larger love, a stronger love, a bolder love. And in it, they're, of course, talking about a boyfriend leaving and how you'll get this stronger love in the future. But it shows that hole is still there. And so that hurt is still there. The scar is still there. The wound is healed, but it's still there. And sometimes the tears will show up. The memory will just spark something in you. Going through the papers and seeing my mom's handwriting will spark something in me, and rogue tears will appear. But that's okay. Be okay with the rogue tears. And finally, remember hope. The fifth step for healing the heartbreak is to look for the light. Light makes the difference. Most days I spend a few minutes every day going out and getting a vitamin D infusion, which just means I go sit by the water and I get the sun. The light heals the body and the heart and the mind. You have to be intentional, though, about getting into the light. And in order to get the benefits of the light, you have to be consistent in investing in the light. That goes for the sun and for the sun. The light of the Spirit. You feed your spirit the immunity power for dealing with heartache when you laugh and you share and you love and you hum and you dance and you talk to God and you share God. Light and joy go hand in hand. Light, sunlight, gives you a shot of immunity. Joy infuses you with strength. And that's it. Heartaches are going to happen, and hurt will sneak up on you and bite you when you least expect it. But if you treat the heartache with Hope First Aid, you'll stop the bleeding and you'll start the living in purpose and on purpose. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Growing Hope. Sharing with you has helped me heal my heartache just a little. Until next time, be blessed and be a blessing.
Thank you for joining us for Growing Hope with Kathryn Lang, where we are sharing hope, encouragement, and inspiration to do more. Visit www.kathrynlang.com to invite Kathryn to be part of your event or to share your own stories of possibility living. Until next time, remember that a seed of hope planted and nurtured will grow up into a world of possibilities.